and they will talk about the provenance of the songs and music, and it's very interesting because Paula has given us a lot of historical information about where all these songs, these wonderful songs from the American songbook, come from. So I think I will turn it over to you both. Very warm welcome again to Southbridge, and thank you very much. And thanks to the culture.
Well, we are very happy to be here. Maggie and I go by the name Banjo Blue. And yes, there will be banjos. Tonight's program is focused on exploring women in traditional music, largely based on recordings from the 20s and 30s, but also some field recordings. And Maggie and I both are longtime scholars of old-time music and its origins and its influences. And so we will be talking about that. And we do encourage questions, as we go along, because this is really, we're trying to learn and entertain at the same time. So one of the most prolific, certainly, bands, they were a band, I guess a trio, was the Carter family. And very notable because there were two women in that band, Maybelle and Sarah Carter, who were cousins. And so it was Sarah Carter, who did a lot of the lead singing, Maybelle Carter, who did a lot of the harmony singing, although they switched off. And then Sarah Carter's husband, A.P. Carter. And we're going to start out this evening with a few Carter family songs, and we'll talk more about them as we go along. We figured let's start with one of their most popular songs. So sing along if you know it. One called The Wildwood Flower. 1, 2, 3. And waving black hair, it the roses so red and the lilies so fair, and the myrtle so bright with its emerald hue, and pale Amarina eyes lips so blue. My life shall be gay. I will charm every heart in his arms. I will sway. When I woke from my slumber, my idol was clay. All portions of love had all gone away. course, was Wildwood Flower from the Carter family. And we're going to do another Carter family song about the March winds. And there's a fabulous book about the Carter family called Will You Miss Me When I'm Gone? And I'm sure they have it here at the library. They can certainly get it through the MAR system. But it's the story of the Carter family, and it's fascinating because Maybelle and Sarah were really ahead of their time, considering that they were mothers and they were traveling on the road in the 20s. The first Carter family recordings were made in 1927, and the Carter family recorded over 300 songs. Over 300 songs. So we can only do about 250 today. Maybelle, her guitar style he sort of set the stage for country music. I mean, the Carter family is thought of as the first family of country music for a very good reason. The breadth and the depth of their songs, 300 songs, and Maybelle's incredibly strong guitar playing. And they were Maybelle and Sarah both were two very independent women. And if you read the book, I mean, I could speak endlessly about it, but it will tell you many, many things. So we're going to sing a song about the March winds, and it's got a great chorus if you feel like singing along. I guess one thing about those 300 songs, AP was a restless soul, and the Carter family lived in a place called Mesa Spring, Virginia. It was, in the hills. And AP would wander around, I won't say the neighborhood because it wasn't a neighborhood, say the land. And he would knock on people's doors and he'd say, "You know any songs? Do you know any songs?" And he'd ask people to sing him songs. White people, black people, rich people, poor people, whoever he encountered. And of course, this was back, this was sort of before radio. Radio was just coming. But these people didn't have radio. So this was the way he gathered all these songs. And because of that, the Carter family repertoire, these 300 songs, has Tin Pan Alley songs, has blues, has gospel, has ballads that came over from the British Isles. It really represents the breadth of American music. And blues is a very important part of that. And this is a blues, even though it doesn't sound like it. And the chorus is, "Sun's gonna shine in my back door someday." We sing that 3 times. "March wind's gonna blow my blues all away." And we'll start with the chorus so you know how it goes. My other stuff, but we are going to sing one more Carter Family song because I was talking about all those 300 songs, and it's hard to find a situation where you can't find a Carter Family song that applies. And this also sort of comes from the blues tradition. In fact, I've heard a very similar song sung by an African-American gospel group. And this is called "You Better Let That Liar Alone." And the chorus goes like this: if you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, you better let that liar alone. And I'll just say that any resemblance to events, to current events, is completely accidental. Might need a little reminding. It's a lot of words as you're going to sing. All right. Well, now let me tell you people what a liar will do. He's always coming around with something new. He steal your heart with false pretense, then he makes out like he's your bosom friend. If you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, better let that liar alone. Well, he studies up a lie, he tells it so smooth, you think absolutely that it must be true. He'll urge you out to check his tail. If you don't mind, put you in jail. If you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, better let that liar alone. Gets his business fixed just right. It's when that liar's gonna cause a fight. If you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, better let that liar alone. Comes that liar with his deceit. A hypocrite and liar, they kick up a fuss. Well, a hypocrite's bad, a liar's worse. If you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, if you don't want to get in trouble, better let that liar alone. Well, we're gonna shift gears here and we're gonna do a couple songs by this next woman, who was a very well-known banjo player, as well as a writer, a songwriter. And she came from Sylva, North Carolina, but moved up to the Eastern Shore of Maryland. She and her husband for work. There was no work down in Sylva's mill town, and the mills were closing. So her name was Olabelle Reed, and I had the great pleasure when I was a teenager, 13 or 14, I got to see Olabelle perform. She was quite a commanding presence and a great singer and a great banjo player. And we're going to do a couple of her songs, and Maggie's going to sing this next one. It's pretty sad, and it's called "Undone in Sorrow." And one of Olabelle's, a lot of her songs, well, they've been recorded by tons and tons of people, especially in the bluegrass community. She's quite popular.
So when I was first starting to learn this type of music, one of my mentors recommended that I learn some Ola Belle Reed songs, and I listened to this song over and over again. And at the beginning of the recording, I listened to it over and over again to learn it. At the beginning of the recording, she says, before she plays, she says, "This is a sad, sad, mournful song, and when I get done with it, it'll be pitiful." You have something to look forward to.
Ola Belle was, she was something. We're going to do another Ola Belle song in a minute, but as a palate cleanser. You know, I mentioned that, you know, ding ding, is that dinner?
Not quite.
You know, Appalachian music, of course, has its roots in Scots-Irish music. One of the many influences, or probably one of the main influences. And there, where I live in the Berkshires, there is a grave that I didn't find out about until a couple years ago of a man who was the most famous ballad collector in the United States, and his name was Francis Child, and he was a scholar, and he recognized, and this was in the mid-1800s, mid to later 1800s, that there were all of these songs that had come over as folks emigrated to the United States and to the mountains that were going to disappear if somebody didn't, he couldn't record them, but record them, right? And so he took it upon himself to notate all these ballads, and we're talking hundreds, and did a good job. And the collection of ballads is known officially as the Child Ballad Collection, and they are numbered. And Francis Child is buried in Stockbridge Cemetery, here where I live. And so imagine my surprise after living in the Berkshires for 20 years when somebody said, "You've been to Francis Child's grave, right?" And I was like, "What?" Because of course I knew who he was, I just didn't know he had any connection to the Berkshires, but in fact he did. And so that there are many examples recorded by folklorists over the years of folks in the mountains singing these ballads. It is a tradition that is in fact dying out. It is passed on to people like Maggie and myself, you know, through listening to CDs, seeing people perform. But back before those recorded music, it was passed just in families, and folks would sit around and sing these songs. So we're going to sing. I'm going to sing Child Ballad number 1, which is called "The Devil's 9 Questions." And in this ballad, the devil meets with the soul and basically says, "I got some questions for you, and they're riddles, and if you can answer them, well, then I'll let you go, and your soul will not be mine. But if you don't answer them, then you're coming with me." And that's how that goes. So I won't tell you how it ends. Well, you must answer my questions 9. Sing 99 and 90, or you're not God's, you're one of mine. And who is the weaver's Bonnie? Well, what is whiter than the milk? Sing 99 and 90. And what is softer than the silk? And who is the weaver's Bonnie? Well, snow, it's whiter than the milk. Sing 99 and 90. And down it's softer than the silk. And I am the weaver's Bonnie. And what is higher than a tree? Sing 99 and 90. And what is deeper than the sea? And who is the weaver's Bonnie? Heaven's higher than a tree. Sing 99 and 90. And hell, it's deeper than the sea. And I am the weaver's Bonnie. And what is louder than a horn? Sing 99 and 90. And what is sharper than a thorn? And who is the weaver's Bonnie? Well, thunder's louder than a horn. Sing 99 and 90. And death, it's sharper than a thorn. And I am the weaver's Bonnie. And what's more innocent than a lamb? Sing 99 and 90. And what is meaner than a man? And who is the weaver's Bonnie? A babe's more innocent than a lamb. Sing 99 and 90. And woman is meaner than a man. And I am the weaver's Bonnie. Well, you have answered my questions 9. Sing 99 and 90. So you are God's, you're none of mine. And you are the weaver's Bonnie. They escaped. And those are the real words. So the woman is me. There's all kinds of websites about the true meaning of the song, but I think it's pretty. I think it requires a lot of deep thought. Yes. Well, folks, when they came in, they said, "Who's going to play the banjo?" And we said, "We both are." And in fact, that's true. Oh, would you like to play my guitar?
Yeah.
I would love for you to play my guitar. So we were talking. Remember, the theme is women in old time music, in case you're forgetting, but I don't see how you can. But the golden age of recorded string band music, which the Carter family was a part of, was really the late 1920s. You know, things really got hopping around 27, and into the 30s, folks bought a lot of records. And they were so popular, and when I say records, I'm talking about 78 RPM records. Does anybody remember 78 RPM records? Yeah. Big. There's no young people in the audience. Well, maybe there's a couple. But back in the day, they were 78 RPM records, 2 songs, side A, side B. That's all you got. And but folks, you know, Sears and Roebuck, you know, had cheap phonographs, and so everybody was getting phonographs and everybody was buying records, and the record companies were like, kind of like the razor blade and the razors, you know, it's like they were just churning them out. And this American rural music was quite popular, like the Carter family. They sold tons of records. They were like the big stars. They were like the, I don't know, the Kanye Wests of their day. The Beyonce. That's probably a better. But so the record companies went into the mountains to record, and we're going to do a song by Samantha Bumgarner. Samantha Bumgarner and Eva Davis were 2 women on fiddle and guitar, and also on banjo and guitar, and banjo and fiddle, all the combos. They recorded, they think that Eva Davis playing the banjo was the first recording of a 5-string banjo. And unlike the Carter family, who were performers, you know, who traveled around, who performed, Eva Davis and Samantha Bumgarner really weren't performers. They played local music in their communities and for dances. And so their recordings were very, what's the word I want? Rural? They were just very, you know, they really had that mountain sound that, rustic? They were very rustic. And so we're going to do one of these earliest banjo recordings, one called Big-Eyed Rabbit. And the chorus is, are you getting there, rabbit? Are you getting there now? Yes, Lord, Lord, I'm getting there now. And in this case, it is not that Lord. It is the Lord of the manor. You know, it is, they're hunting. And presumably this probably goes back to England, and so the Lord is that guy who's hunting. Not for souls, but for rabbits. Okay. You need a pick?
It's one of my own.
Okay. Is mine around?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, here we go. The Big-Eyed Rabbit. Yes, Oh, Maggie,
Is that me?
your guitar is ringing. It's a very important call. Oh, Bell Reed's calling.
Sorry about that. Thought I turned that off.
Well, don't feel so bad.
It's in the right key.
I don't know if anybody has Netflix. Does anybody have Netflix on their computers? Well, I do too. And I probably spend a little bit too much time watching it these days. And I just watched a Dave Chappelle special. Just came out. Very controversial. And he's in a big theater and somebody's phone rings, and this is in the special, and it's really loud, and like 2,000 people are like, gulp, and it's Dave Chappelle. He can be brutal if he wants to be. Anyway, so we did a song earlier by Ola Belle Reed, and I mentioned what a great songwriter she was, and this next song is probably her most famous song. And I'm just going to sing it, see if you know it. song before? Yeah, it's a pretty well-known song. And that's Ola Belle. So hopefully you'll think of her. Well, now we're going back to Samantha Bumgarner, who I mentioned before. And this song, I can only guess that it's been, I don't think anybody really knows. It's just one of those songs that's been around forever. And Samantha Bumgarner and Eva Davis did record it. And so have a lot of folks. That was probably one of the earliest, their recording was one of, if not the earliest recording of it. A lot of folks know it as Going Down the Road Feeling Bad. But they call it, and they still call it this in the mountains in western North Carolina and southwestern in Virginia. The Lonesome Road Blues. Right? And so sing along if you know it. Surprise! Anyway, well, from the mountains to, well, I guess still the mountains, but we're gonna switch around a little bit. I'm gonna get out my special instrument I save for special occasions.
It's a kazoo.
The gold-plated kazoo. Been having a...
Those metal ones are hard to come by these days.
Well, now, where's my security guard? I'm down to 2, but you're right, they are. But I have to say, you know, I don't play it that often. I mean, I do play it that often, but like not every day. But it's been really tough because I find when I sing and play the kazoo, it's, you know, it's vibrations. It like vibrates in my throat, which turns out is not the best thing for singing. Yeah. I get like a little tickle. Yeah, a little tickle. Well, you know, we were talking about the 20s being the recorded age of string band music, and really the golden era of, you know, when records first became a thing. And at the same time that rural records were happening, you know, string bands were being recorded and mountain folks were being recorded, largely white. There were African Americans that were also being recorded on the blues and sort of jazz side of things. Not jazz the way we think of it, you know, today, but jazzier. Yes, that's a whole different workshop. But the record companies generally had they had a section of records that they called race records that were targeted for the African American audience, so that when you went in to buy a record, you knew sort of which section was yours, so to speak. And so at the same time that Eva Davis and Samantha Bumgarner and the Carter family were being recorded, there were also African Americans being recorded, including African American women. And we're going to do a song now by one of those people, and this was recorded, I believe, in 25, so very early on, by a woman named Rosa Henderson, who was from Kentucky. And not a lot is known about her, as happened to a lot of, especially African Americans. I mean, the Carter family, there's been books written, but on the blues side of things, folks could do a couple records and then they could just disappear because it was tough to make a living. Of course, the Depression came, and so not a lot is known about her, but we do have this great recording. And we like to think it's about a dog, but it's called, He May Be Your Dog, but He's Wearing My Collar. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. I don't know. We'll see. But well, we'll talk more about it after. Am I in tune? Now I am a professional kazoo player, so don't worry.
He may be yours.
finish on that one, yes. Whoopsies.
Nice kazoo playing.
No, thank you. Well, you know, like I said, I'm a professional. Although this piece of leather here, I'm going to have to get the super glue out. It's like tickling my, now I got another problem. It's always something. So, what happened is you had these race records, and you had, I don't know what they called the non-race section, I just can't remember right now, but you get it. And as these records are starting, everybody's buying these records, guess what's happening? White people are listening to black music, black people are listening to white music. And so this rural mountain sound started to get influenced by other sounds, like blues, and like this sort of early jazz, or some people call it hokum. And in fact, this next song we're going to do is by a woman who went by the name of Moonshine Kate. And she was from Georgia, and she recorded with her father, a very well-renowned fiddle player named Fiddlin' John Carson. And I think you'll hear, based on the last song, how Moonshine Kate kind of, you know, got more of a bluesy influence in what she did. And so this is a song that she recorded, also in the early, I think 27, called, what is it called? Poor Girl's Story. And there is kazoo. Not on the recording, but on this, on our version of it. Well, that concludes the kazoo portion of our show. And we're going to play a couple more and get Maggie back on the banjo here and do another Carter family song.
Thanks for coming.
Before we go into this next portion of the show. Oh, I see.
Is it dancing?
Yes, it is dancing time. While I put on my shoes, I'm going to do a little clog dancing here. Does anybody have any questions or answers? Answers, anything for me except done. I will have to move my banjo out of harm's way there. No questions?
Did the Carter family have, or did Mabel have any kids? Or
Yes.
maybe a son-in-law? No.
First I thought you were serious, and I was like, yeah. And then I realized, haha, set me up. Yes, so Mabel Carter had kids. One of them was June Carter, and June Carter married Johnny Cash. And so Mabel Carter became Johnny Cash's mother-in-law. And Johnny often said that, Johnny Cash, it's well known that he was a drug addict, and that Mabel helped turn him around. And actually on Facebook, I just saw this great, did you see this? Have you seen this? There's so when Johnny Cash marries June Carter Cash, so now we're talking 60s, right? It's the 60s. Remember, the Carter family recorded in the 20s. Mabel, still playing the guitar, still freaking awesome. And somebody just posted, it's the first time I'd seen it, Johnny had a TV show, and I don't know if this was from his TV show, but he had the Everly Brothers on, and he had their father on, who was a very well-known, to some of us, they were from Kentucky, and he was also a great guitar player, the Everly Brothers' father. So it's Mabel and whatever the Everly Brothers' father's name is, and she's got this really late 60s, 70s maxi dress on. It's all wild, orange and purple. I mean, it's really colorful. But the turtleneck, does anybody remember these dresses? Mm-hmm. Probably bell sleeves, right? That's a kind of sleeve there. So Mabel is picking, Mabel is courting, and Mr. Everly is picking. And they're playing one guitar together. It's pretty amazing. But I digress. See, that's why we got to limit the show, because we do spend a lot of our time looking at stuff like this, because it's just fascinating. So how many people have seen clogging before? Oh, good. Well, then my work here is done. But how many people have seen Irish step dancing? Yeah, probably Lord of the Dance. Lord of the Flies is different. There's really not much dancing in that. So, we talked about the ballads coming over to the Southern Appalachians, and of course, with the oral tradition, the singing also came, fiddle music, and came dancing. So if you've seen Irish step dancing, it's very much on the toes, rigid upper body, right? I'm not an Irish step dancer, but I play one in libraries. And so when that tradition came to America, it met up with African American traditions. And if you've seen African dancing, very different than Irish step dancing, right? Very loose, very fluid, a lot, upper body is really moving, right? Really moving. So these two traditions sort of mixed up like America, a melting pot, right? And from that came American clog dancing, flat-footing, buck dancing, whatever you want to call it. And from that comes tap dancing. So it's all sort of one big timeline. But Maggie's going to play a banjo tune for you, and I'm going to do a little flat-footing. And what are we going to play?
Cluck Old Hen.
Cluck Old Hen.
You want to give me a tempo?
You can get on the table if you want.
I do not. Thank you. Yes, hopefully I won't fall down. I will say my board is getting very slippery, which is an occupational hazard. But I'll do my best. So, tempo.
Yeah.
Now you see how it's done. So Margaret, we were planning to play a couple more, is that okay?
Yeah, we normally finish around, the next couple of minutes.
Okay, well then,
Yeah.
we should do, let's get Bowling Green, and let's do Lonesome Day, oh yeah?
Can we just remind people to fill out
Or do
their
you wanna do,
surveys while they're sitting, and we really appreciate having your feedback for the Cultural Council. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed the program this evening.
Yes, and we
Presentation.
want to, thank you. We definitely also would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the Southbridge Cultural Council for making programs like this available to the community so that we could all be here today. And supporting the arts. And the Mass Cultural Council supports the Southbridge Cultural Council, and that's a great thing. And we're lucky to live in a state that believes in funding the arts. Very lucky. And so we thank you all for coming out, and we thank the Jacob Edwards Library for providing a venue where we could do these kinds of programs that, are, first of all, acoustic. Secondly, where we get to talk about the music in a way that in concerts we often don't get to explore all the roots, right? So we're gonna do another card. We'll do two more, and this is another Carter family song, and this also probably has its roots in African American tradition.
Let's do it in the same key.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it this key. Thank you.
All right.
Today has been a long
oh, you're gonna play guitar? Okie dokies. And I do, Maggie and I have done this program a number of times, and also I go to Florida in the winter, and I've also done a solo program down there. And last library I did it, I looked at the time and go, what? We're not even out of the 1920s yet. Which is kind of the case today, too. But we're going to jump right ahead into the late 30s and 40s. And just in summary, just say that there weren't a lot of women that were recorded in this sort of golden age of American music, but there were, the ones that were quite something. And, the Carter family set the stage, really. And so, as music in general, as these records got made and people traveled around, then, of course, people had the records. They wanted to see those performers. So that created a place for folks to travel around and perform, which became a way people could earn a living. And so then what happened? Who knows? Then came the internet. No. Then came radio, and then, that was a whole different thing. And the emphasis on performing became heightened, I guess, as it were. And so we will leave you with a wonderful song by a wonderful Kentucky female banjo player by the name of Lily Mae Ledford. Lily Mae was not her given name. It was a record company name. And she played with her sisters in a band called the Coon Creek Girls. And the record label guy said, you're all going to be flowers. You're going to be a lily, and you're going to be a violet, and you're going to be a daisy, that kind of thing. And they played at the Renfro Valley Barn Dance, a place that I've been to for many years. And so this is a very well-known song that Lily Mae recorded called Banjo Picking Girl. And again, we want to thank Jacob Edwards Library, Margaret Morrison, and everybody who made today possible. So thank you all for coming out. And have a great weekend.
Going around the world, baby mine.
Thank you very much, Banjo Blue. This was an amazing evening, and I hope that you'll come back and join us for some other concerts and presentations at the Jacob Edwards Library.